Hey guys, this is Ryan from El Topo Local giving you guys another deck profile on King Vegeta. Last time I gave you the red-green version, which is a lot of gas, hits hard really quick, and it burns them pretty hard. But this one's more of like a control-oriented mono red, but it does have some benefits that the red-green does not have. One of them being you could charge really anything, and it makes the searching abilities off the leader a little bit easier. But let's get into the deck profile. So first we run the leader, and basically starts out with this field on play. And when he attacks, you search the top five for any mono red of five or less, or mono red Saiyan of five or less. So you can hit most of the cards in this deck. Of course, not the extra cards or the unisons, and there's a few non-Saiyan cards, but for the most part, you're almost always going to draw. And it's nice that you get to pick the targets, which makes your turn one pretty easy to do because there's a few good one-cost targets that you might have to search for. On the backside, basically you could awaken in two different ways. You could just awaken normally at four or less, or if your opponent's at four or less, you can actually awaken, untap one, draw one, and then if you're at more than five life, you take cards until you have five. Now the nice thing is we are playing these Raditz super combos. So this Raditz over here, is searchable off the leader effect, and this only really does, as you can see, it has no combo power over here, but you have to be at four or less. But since your leader goes to five, that's pretty easy to get this active and to self-awaken. But the field card could allow you to take that last life if you really need to, and make sure that your super combos are always active. On the back side of the leader, basically all of our invader cards, which have one combo cost, basically are free for comboing. And then when he attacks, you just draw one random card. And then once per turn on either player's turn, when you subtract any of their battle cards, you minus 10. Actually, it doesn't even have to be a battle card. When you subtract any one of their cards, you choose one battle card and minus by another 10k. So this does stack up with a lot of minusing abilities and a lot of controlling their field. So let's just get into the deck profile real quick. As you can see, I just kind of did search deck, so it's kind of in a random order. Double strike high. I mean, always sometimes you need that extra double strike. This Jiren is really, really, really good in here. Basically, as soon as you get this Jiren out, and if you have the Jiren, a few of the Goku blockers, and also maybe the Vegeta, the 5-drop Vegeta, it's really hard for your opponent to actually do anything. So basically, you get to choose whenever you want to use this auto effect, and which also works well with your leader. So like you could really subtract 20 from anything every turn. And this also hits unisons, so that's really nice. But he's also double strike, adds pressure, and then the activate battle, which also can work with your leader as well. Basically, you could just swipe something 35k very, very easily. I've gotten rid of some Kai secret rares very easily because of this Jiren and because of a few other effects. Paired with the Jiren, we do have this King Piccolo, free double strike, pretty easy to get it off, just need 3 markers on a unison. The other unison we run is Piccolo Jr., probably the best red unison in the game. Not only does he draw you cards, you're probably not really going to use the Rejuvenate very much, but you could if you want. But the -2, you could just choose any one of your 3 costs and basically swipe the board of that same attack power or less. So we run a few 19Ks, but actually the nice combo is I run 2 of these Gokus right here. So in the later turns, you could actually swipe their board of 25k or less. So that's a nice little combo that works out every once in a while. Let's see what else we have here. We have King Vegeta's Imposing Presence. So this is a free negate if you discard when you're at 3 or less life. So then you minus 10k to the attacking card. It could be anything, leader card or unison. And it does ignore barrier, but then you're adding like a floodgate effect by minusing 5k for every additional swing after that. So this can make it a little bit easier to survive, unless of course maybe you're playing like a Dark Broly deck. Then this effect really does nothing against them, and you probably want to side in more Violent Rays if that's the case. The super combo, searchable off the leader on the front side. So most of the time I'm going to be picking these off the top 5, just so I have like 3 or 4 super combos early to mid game. But nothing much to say about him other than you just need 4 or less life for it to actually really do anything. But since your leader does awaken at 5 or you could get to 5 if you use the Leader Awaken. And you could also use this field card to take a life. You could easily get the super combo off. Speaking of the field, once per turn, you get to put a Young Invader on their side of the field. If you do, you can't play cards for the turn that are not Red Saiyans. So if you use the Yamcha counterplay on their turn, it still gets the -15 on 2 cards, but you don't get to play it. So you got to kind of be careful when you use Yamcha on your own turn. And I've probably forgotten about that effect a few times as well. So that's just something to be aware of. Activate main on your turn. You could also play another Young Invader with its skills negated in rest mode, which will help you with your free plays. And then you don't have to worry about Black Mass Saiyan because tap a red, because Black Mass Saiyan would just shut off this deck. But if you tap a red, you can -5k to anything. And if you're Awakened, essentially that's a -15 to anything. Moving on. So the Young Invaders we are running are 4 of these Raditz because it works with Goku and also Vegeta, and those are the only ones we're really running. The Goku one, it's not too good. It's okay, I mean, it has some benefits compared to Raditz because Raditz you can combo off. The Goku comes in rest mode, and as long as you use it right away, or bottom it right away, it's fine. But Raditz does burn damage. We also run 2 Vegeta. Let's see if I can find them. 2 of these Vegeta, and it does have unique, so you can only have 1, but it does the burn damage when they're at 5 or higher, just like Raditz. But if he's on your opponent's side of the field, the first swing you do is -5k to whatever attacking card it is, whether it's a leader or a unison. So this is actually really clutch against like a Demigra unison or the Black Gotenks unison, because essentially you're automatically minusing a marker in that case. And also, like when your leader's not awakened and they are awakened, your leader can still like put pressure on them and draw cards. But you're going to be bottoming these pretty often. Going back to the front, so we already talked about this combo with Piccolo. This is a really good one. So the Raditz and this card are the promos, so this is a pretty expensive deck as it is. But this Vegeta, you bottom either a Vegeta or a Raditz on either side of the field. And then his auto is when you take 1 card from your hand, put him on the bottom of the deck, you then draw 2. So it cycles through your deck. It's also nice because if you have a Young Invader in your hand, it allows you to get them back in the deck because you want them in the deck so you can get them for the free plays. This is only once per turn, so sometimes they get a little cloggy, but I mean, you can either just combo them off or just save it for the next turn and just keep cycling every single turn. Our overrealm of choice is Bardock, dual attack, very strong guy, and just hopefully a game finisher. But you could really put any overrealm. We don't really need our drop area for anything, and I just chose him because we do need some energy. So paying energy for overrealm may not be the best, but you can put whatever overrealm you want in here. This Goku is searchable off the leader on the front side, so that's always nice. Clearing the boards, dealing with those barrier cards. This is just a really good card in general. Let's get into some of the other Invader packages before we get to that card. So first we have our turn 1 plays. This Vegeta, you bottom deck either a Raditz or the Vegeta, and you can play this guy. And you do have to tap a red. You do have to bottom a guy. If you go first, you're going to have your activated main effect to bottom them. If they go first, they'll have an Invader on their side of the field. Again, you can bottom that too, and then maybe use this effect and bottom something else to play maybe the Vegeta I was just showing before. So maybe get 2 free guys out. But he's critical. And then the nice thing is you could search top 5 for any 5 costs or less, which is most of this deck, or a unison of 1 cost, which we're not really running. But this makes the deck cycle through and pick what you want at certain times. And it's really nice just to have them critical, especially if they have the Vegeta on the field. Then you're doing 19k, and they're losing 5k on the first attack. So it's actually pretty nice to get that off. This Goku is really, really good. It's part of the reason why I tried out Mono Red. So basically, he's like the Goku hit from a set or 2 ago. And when he attacks, at the end of the turn, he untaps. So you get a free attack, and then he becomes a blocker for the next turn. And also, when he activates blocker, he gets to restand himself. So you could essentially get 2 blocks out of it. Now, unlike the Goku hit, that one's activate battle. So This can easily get hit by like a Zamasu super combo because it untaps right away. But I mean, still 2 blocks most of the time. Really, really nice. Now the other guys, the big guys we were running, I actually might cut these guys or maybe cut them down. This Goku, I might run him at 2. He's pretty good because of like he can swing into burn damage. He does have deflect, and when you could play him by evolving on the blocker Goku for 3, draw a card, and then or you could hard cast him for 5 too, but that probably feels pretty bad. So you could swing into battle cards. He's dual attack, so you could swing twice, or you could swing once and then use him for the next turn as a blocker. But if he does kill anything that's 2 cost or more, he does burn damage to you. So those matchups that are really hard to finish, maybe like a baby matchup where they're just negating everything, maybe you might be able to swing at their battle card instead of their leader or something like that. I don't know. But getting burn damage can be pretty nice. Now this Goku or this Vegeta over here, is pretty nice as well. If you get him out with the Jiren Unison, and a lot of your effects are minusing cards, if you do all that stuff, then it really builds like a wall that they can't really get through. This Vegeta is nice that every single time they play a card or even attack with a card, they minus 10k. So it basically prevents them from attacking the turn that they play a card unless it's a really big guy or unless it has barrier. But essentially, if you use this with your leader effect, you're minusing 20 on something when they play it, and then minusing 10 if they keep on swinging. And if you use your negate too, it just makes it really hard for your opponent to push through damage. I might cut him to 3 as well, just so I can fit maybe a few more things like Broly Crown and Retribution, or I did see Andrew Duvall play that Bardock TP, and that I was like, why didn't I think about that? Makes perfect sense in here. So I might try a few things out other than these guys, but this is like going true with the package that Bandai intended. So I tried it out for now, but I'm definitely going to make more tweaks in the future. Now, if this Vegeta does get taken by the Heroine Secret Rare, you actually burn the damage. So that's kind of scary at times. So I do run the strategies of Universe 7 to give my guys barrier. And, just giving like maybe your blocker's barrier sometimes makes it harder for them to get removed or maybe get tapped down. So that is always nice to have in here. But you could always side it out or side it in if you want instead. I have a second one sided just in case there's matchups where I really need barrier protection. We're on the Kai Secret Rare. Just seems to be really good in here. I mean, I guess you could also run the new, I think it's Gohank's Secret Rare. But paying 1 in here seems a lot better to get out the Secret Rare. We run 2 Violent Rays. If you're playing against Dark Broly, you want to side in more of these and probably take out the Vegeta Negate. And what else do we have? Wolf Fang Fist works with your leader, and this does hit some of those barrier cards. So if they're swinging with the drum and King Piccolo, this could actually really easily get rid of it. And then Yamcha works with your leader, but again, you can't use it on the turn that you played a Young Vader on your opponent's side of the field, so you do have to worry about that. So that is the main deck. And for the side, I played 2 Denial of Hope. Sometimes you just got to hit cards. Put more Violent Rays in there. I think I just put 1 more. Put Broly Crown of Retribution in here. Good for against like maybe Mecha. Sometimes they leave energy open, or maybe against blue decks. More barrier protection. This is a pretty good negate if you just need a straight up negate rather than your floodgate. This is almost always active when you're awakened because you awaken at 5, and this only works when they're at 5 or less, at least for the free effect. Very rarely are you paying 2 for this. Run 2 of these King Vegetas. They're counters. It's very, very, very specific, but I have used it against the Dormant Potential, and that felt really nice. You can use it against the Sparking Negates. You can use it against a bunch of things. Grand Eagle. Plenty of stuff that this works with. You could also switch out maybe the Jiren Unison for a Sin Shenron if you really need to take cards out of their hand, or maybe just really clear the field. But I mostly probably put this in for the -2 effect. But it could also clear their battle cards. Like maybe they're playing sell secret rare and you just know you have to clear the board, this might be a little bit better because you could actually attack into their battle cards. But I think Kaioken does well enough with helping clear the board. If you're running a monocolor, you should be running these ISR cards because they're all really, really good. And this works really well with your leader as well. And you can actually use this on their leader. So going in for game, especially if you put like a double strike on this, put it on the leader, make your leader plus 25 essentially. And then if you want to put double strike, this really can help win games. And then one max power, just because they always have cards that are higher cost, or unless a lot of matchups like Sin Shenron or the Demigra, Dark Overrealm, and there's plenty of other cards that this card hits. And if you just need another negate, maybe against Reboot Gohan, here's another negate you could side in. Well, that's it for today. Maybe I'll try to show some gameplay footage of this or the red one. I'm also planning on maybe making a budget friendly because, as you can see, this runs a lot of promos. Thinking about running a budget friendly Gogeta version. So if you guys are interested in seeing that, please let me know in the comments. If you have any questions, let us know. We'll try to get back to you. Have a good one, everybody, and stay loco.